smart enough to get up early and cut that story out of the newspaper?
I don't know, babe. It showed up like that. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going to go take up jogging again.
And yet, Trump won and Hillary lost. It's a cool system we have. Oh no. Oh no, I'm doing the Hillary laugh now. Oh God. Oh, soon they're going to find me wandering through the woods. The point is, Trump got less than 50% of the vote. And look, that doesn't change anything, and he won fair and square. But I'm looking for small victories wherever I can get them. I'm so desperate for positive outcomes. I'm following school board races in Kentucky. Good news, honey. Clayton P. Branscombe III just lost the Shelbyville School Board, 2nd District. Race by 5 votes. Why do I care? I don't know, honey, because Branscombe wanted to ban Stuart Little because he said it was ungodly for a mouse to drive a car. And if he's coming for Stuart Little, he's gonna come for Mouse on the motorcycle. Honey. And it's not just Trump's margin that small House Republicans also won one of the smallest majorities in modern history, which means there's an opening for an effective, organized opposition to make life difficult for them. Trump's gonna try to do unpopular things, and he's going to try to ram them through with a very tight majority. We can't roll over and make it easy for them. Republicans are trying to cow everyone into standing down by claiming they have a sweeping mandate to do whatever they want.
I think what the American people have believe and what they've delivered with the mandate in this election is demand that we shake up the status quo.
What I understand from President Trump is he was elected to turn this place upside down.
No, he just looks like he did his glam upside down. Trump was not elected to turn things upside down. He's not the quirky new English teacher at an all-male boarding school. If Trump ever tells you to stand on your desk, it's just so he doesn't have to bend over to punch you in the nuts. You see these moves? That's not a dance. That's nut-punching practice. That's what he's going to do the first time someone gives him bad news. Mr. President, your immigration bill failed in the House. All right, come stand over here on the desk. Carpe diem, that's Latin for cover your nuts. As misguided as I believe it was, Trump was elected to make things better, not to burn it all down. You guys talk about government like it's a house flipping show where you only do the demolition but not the renovating. All right, we're gonna rip out this bathroom, pull up this carpet, knock this wall down with a sledgehammer, and then you're never gonna see us again. But Trump's already pouncing on the subservience of Republicans and acting like he's been elected king. Just today, he shared a post from an ally who wrote, reports are that the incoming Trump administration prepared to declare a national emergency and will use military assets to reverse the Biden invasion through a mass deportation program. Trump added, true. But as crazy as that post is, even crazier is when Trump wrote it. 4:03 a.m. If you're up at 4 a.m. and you don't have a newborn, what the is wrong with you? Also, if you think Donald Trump was ever up with a newborn at 4 a.m., what the is wrong with you? Can you imagine? Honey, I think Don Jr.'s up again, but don't worry, I'm on it. Do you think can you imagine this? Why are you posting on social media at 4 in the morning? Did you get night sweats from all that McDonald's you ate? The only 4 a.m. social media post that makes sense after Airplane McDonald's has been on toilet for 3 hours, absolutely wrecking it, ran out of TP, and no one's awake. Hell. Also, I don't want to get distracted, but this picture really is such a perfect encapsulation of the Trump presidency. The president-elect hanging out with the Speaker of the House and the richest man alive and an anti-science crank on a private plane. Also, I love that they essentially hazed RFK Jr., who rails against processed food and is called fast food poison, by not only making him eat McDonald's, but forcing him to take a picture while doing it. I mean, look at that face. You know that's McDonald's because that right there is a grimace. But the hazing, and I'm sad to say, the hazing didn't stop there. After this, Trump made everyone do shots, but RFK Jr.'s was the measles vaccine. And now Trump is hazing the rest of the GOP the same way. He's hazing RFK Jr. by making them swallow a bunch of deeply unpopular and grotesquely unqualified cabinet picks that even they hate. Like his nominee for Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who was once flagged as a possible insider threat by a fellow service member, and who paid off a woman who accused him of sexual assault while denying the charges. Oh my God, that's the most exciting thing that ever happened. Go back, Wally. You guys, go back and show Wally, show everybody what happened. A blank card. Didn't take long for Trump to get to you, Wally. Didn't take long. Didn't even wait to get sworn in, old Wally. Oh, right away, Mr. Trump, whatever you need.
All right, I'm sorry. It was a long weekend.
It's a long weekend. Oh, I had to do SNL, too. All right, I'm going to go back. But that's really nice. We're going to, in this crazy new era we're living in, we're going to enjoy everything that goes wrong. Fellow service member who paid off a woman who accused him of sexual assault while denying the charges, or Matt Gates, who has been accused of sex trafficking a minor and obstruction of justice. Gates was never charged and denies the allegations, but he faced an investigation by the Ethics Committee, which was coincidentally just about to release a highly damaging report about his conduct before he abruptly resigned from the House. But don't take it from me, take it from the Democrats, who are outraged and indignant at this grotesque corruption. Their outrage is palpable. Just listen to the anger in their voices.
The timing of Mr. Gates' resignation from the House raises serious questions about the contents of the House Ethics Committee report. We cannot allow this valuable information from a bipartisan investigation to be hidden from the American people.
Buddy, if you're trying to warn us about an imminent danger, then why are you so boring? That's like having a smoke detector that makes rainforest sounds. Do you know what Republicans would be saying right now if Democrats were trying to cover up a report about sex trafficking allegations over a minor? The breaking news banner on Fox would be so long you wouldn't be able to see Sean Hannity screaming behind it. The cover-up is glaring, it's right in our faces, they're being super obvious about it. Within 2 days, the Speaker of the House went from saying it's not his job to get in the middle of an Ethics Committee report to saying he would insist the report stay hidden after he met with Donald Trump in Mar-a-Lago.
As far as the timing of a release or report or something, I don't know. The Speaker of the House is not involved in that, can't be involved in that.
I want to strongly request the Ethics Committee not to issue a report, because that is not the way we do things in the House.
Either Trump is a psycho who threatened Johnson, or he's an Olympic-level hypnotist. You're getting very sleepy, Mike, and I'll be honest, so am I. We're both pretty sleepy. You because I'm hypnotizing you, and me because I was up at 4 a.m. tweeting about deportations. In fairness, Mike Johnson is a devout Christian and a man of faith, and he's probably taking his guidance from the famous Bible verse we all know and love that says, "Thou shalt cover up allegations of sex trafficking if it gets in the way of tax cuts for the wealthy. Now, who wants McDonald's? We're going to eat it on Jesus' private plane." By the way, that's that Bible with that super big font. Real big. By the way, one way to tell us how bad the report is by telling us we can't see the report. If your girlfriend asks to see your last text you sent to your ex, and your answer is, "There's nothing to see," and to prove it, I'm going to smash my phone to pieces with a hammer. That's not going to be the end of that conversation. So Howard Trump's goons going to ram through these unpopular candidate picks by threatening fellow Republicans.
What if Senate Republicans don't confirm him?
Well, then they have to deal with Donald Trump, and they'll have to deal with Elon Musk and his great new pack.
And Marjorie's threats, much like this A-team's bellies, are not empty, because Donald Trump doesn't just hate Democrats, he also hates every Republican who stands in his way. You think he's ever going to listen to Mike Johnson? Mike Johnson couldn't be more replaceable. He's buy one, get one free at the Dweeb warehouse. But this is our near future, the most mob-coded bully you could imagine. "Hey, Mike, we hear there's a report about our friend Matt. In a perfect world, nobody ever sees it. And if they do, well, there's no easy way to say this. We call our friend Bobby, and you sleep with the bears. You sleep, we put your body in Central Park, we make it look like a bike accident." This is Trump's second term. In a nutshell, the richest man in the world scheming with the soon-to-be most powerful man in the world to cover up alleged sex crimes and ram through their unqualified henchmen. It's about power and corruption. They'll threaten and bully anyone who gets in their way, even though most Americans don't want this. If you get in Trump's way, they'll attack you or force you to eat poison or dunk your head in the toilet by holding you
upside down.
This has been A Closer Look. Hey guys.
weeks since the election. Feels like 2 months. It's been 15 years since the election. It's been, I mean, this was me, election night. Oh. Was I ever that young? Or ever looked that handsome? But Donald Trump is returning to power, and so once again it is time to saddle up la resistance. Because, if you remember, before Trump won the election, Democrats were clear-eyed about the stakes.
It's time that fascism is called fascism, and Americans know exactly what they're voting for.
He is paving the way to become a Vladimir Putin or to become an Adolf Hitler.
He is a threat to democracy.
He is a clear and present danger to our democracy, to our way of life.
The damage may be irreversible, the destruction could be unthinkable, and it would be a betrayal of everything that our framers fought for.
You're not even gonna look up? You're not even gonna... You know, a little eye contact, a little inflection could drive the danger thing. You give it a little urgency, you know. I feel passionately we should fight him on the beaches, in the field, God forbid the streets, the asphalt and the silence. It's really... Is it sad that the only thing that really makes it a Schumer impression is I put glasses on? Is that? Was it really that? I mean, you applauded literally just the glasses. I'm a pair of bifocals away from being Chuck Schumer's man. You bastards. Now, I assume now that the Democrats have lost to the greatest threat we've ever faced as a nation, that they will be forthright in acknowledging, one, the Democrats' role in this catastrophic defeat, and two, the bleak hellscape we now face. Or...
We're proud of the fact that we've defeated more House Republican incumbents than they've defeated House Democratic incumbents.
We did flip 3 House seats from Republican to Democrat and gained back almost all of those that we had lost in 2022.
Yeah, almost is doing a lot of work in that sentence. Yeah, we almost gained back all we had lost. Almost is kind of a load-bearing adverb, spin-wise, finding a positive in what is clearly not good news. You can't, parents, good news, we gained back almost all of the children we lost on the field trip. Win-win! It's a new dynamic. It is a willful bright-siding this shit show that we celebrate in our new segment called The Audacity of Cope. Now, technically, yes, Democrats have less seats, but have you heard who's in those seats?
In this freshman class alone, and I'm going to stop for cheers for each one of these because they're remarkable, we have our first trans member of Congress. We have an engineer from an immigrant community in the San Fernando Valley. We have the first Iranian-American Democrat in Congress. We have the youngest member ever elected to the House from New Jersey.
That's not a thing. How did you go from the reasonably impressive first Iranian Democrat to hold the seat to the, I think, somewhat reaching for youngest person ever from New Jersey? But by the way, to the audience, if you think that framing is not that interesting, wait till you hear that this record-breaking young phenom from New Jersey is 38 years old. 38 years old. God, come on. How far are we going with this? Oh, in Illinois, we elected a ginger. Oh, hey, yeah. We elected the first representative from Washington State who looks like he has a terrible secret. He ran on loneliness. Wow, this is going to be the most diverse group of congresspeople to ever get all their legislation blocked. So inspiring. But you know what? No, it's fine. People. But you know what? Those are just lowly House Democrats. How will the head of their party, the outgoing president, man the ramparts during this challenging and fraught, peaceful transition to fascism?
President Biden is in Brazil, where he became the first American head of state to visit the Amazon rainforest. He went there to highlight the dangers of climate change and the need to turn away from fossil fuels.
What the No way that desk was there! No way! Not a chance! In the middle of all this, he disappeared to the rainforest, starring in what appears to be like 4 Pixar movies in one mixed together. Clearly, Up is one of them. And Encanto, I'm going to say there's a little Moana, maybe Wall-E, had a powerful anti-consumerist message. Well, hopefully, listen, Wally's down there. Hopefully he has some inspiring words for us. Mr. President.
History is literally watching us now. So let's preserve this secret place for our time and forever, for the benefit of all humanity. Thank you very, very much.
Mr. President, I'm sorry. The tribe has spoken. Extinguish your torch. What is happening? You know, maybe this is how we should do the transfer of power. The winner moves into the White House, and the incumbent just wanders off into the jungle so that his nutrients may be returned to the soil. But of course, as the Democrats struggle, Donald Trump headed to Madison Square Garden with his grab him by the pussy posse to do his favorite thing, watch people submit. Oh, Trump likes submission in the octagon. He likes it out of the octagon. He likes submission from his enemies and even from his new friends. And by the way, it doesn't take much of a transgression to warrant a bended knee for Trump. For instance, last week, Trump's newly minted Health and Human Services nominee hit Trump with a bit of a lighthearted jab about his diet.
The stuff that he eats is really like bad. It's not, campaign food is always bad, but the food that goes onto that airplane is like just poison.
A little friendly swipe, boop. A little bit of ribbing, gentle ribbing, boop. And he will pay for his insolence.
President Trump, Elon Musk, Don Jr., RFK Jr., and Speaker Mike Johnson eating McDonald's on Trump's private plane.
Hey, Robert, come in here. You think that's poison, yeah? Eat it. Hey, Robert, eat the whole thing. Yeah, in front of us right now. Eat the whole thing. And by the way, when you're done eating the whole thing, Grimace is going to come in here and f***ing yes. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Yeah, that's right. Grimace. Hey, Robert, eat the whole thing. Grimace is going to f***ing yes while we're doing it. You got to make eye contact with him all the time. Yeah, we're going to film it. was just going to keep going with the premise. By the way, I know we're focused on the humiliation of RFK Jr., but look at poor Mike Johnson there. Poor Mike Johnson right there. Oh, he didn't even get a seat at the cool kids table. And the sad part, this whole thing was Mike Johnson's bachelor party. Meanwhile, Joe and Mika Brzezinski Scarborough, who famously warned of the growing threat of Trump's fascism, also had an interesting announcement to make.
Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. And for those asking why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us, I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we?
Because you said he was Hitler. Okay. Tap out. But look, we don't know what the visit was. We don't know what the tone of the visit was.
We talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets.
Oh, I bet you really laid down the gauntlet, Joe. I bet you walked in there and just let him have it, didn't you, Joey? I'm going to do a one-act play called Joe and Mika Go to Mar-a-Lago. Mr. President, your rhetoric is outrageous. I cannot in good conscience... Ooh, are those macaroons? The pink one is raspberry. We've learned nothing. Even those putting up resistance to Trump's agenda don't seem to understand who they're dealing with.
Senator Elizabeth Warren accusing President-elect Donald Trump's transition team of breaking the law, as there are reports it missed a deadline to file a required ethics pledge.
Hear ye! Hitler missed the reporting deadline! The war is over! I've said it before and I'll say it again. Republicans are playing chess and the Democrats are in the nurse's office because they glued their balls to their thigh. That is what is happening. The election that we just had was a repudiation of the status quo, an overly regulated system that is no longer responsive or delivering for the needs of the people or their beloved behatted squirrels. Oh, R.I.P. Peanut. Government is theoretically a constitutional system of checks and balances between equally powerful branches. But what government actually is an overly complicated Byzantine bureaucratic maze of rules, loopholes to those rules, and norms. Complex enough that A, if you want to find a rule that keeps you from doing something, you'll find it. And B, if you actually want to do something, you can find a loophole to get around said rule. And then the norms are just how often you've had to pull any of this shit. For example, Trump's, let's be generous, provocative and unorthodox cabinet picks. I don't think Hulk Hogan's been nominated yet. I think he's going to be the secretary of Take Your Vitamins! Democrats are positive that the vaunted constitutional rules of the Senate shall be the guardrail to this madness.
Certainly we can fight back.
The president nominates, the Senate confirms.
We're a check and balance. We're there to be a guardrail.
The Senate has a constitutional obligation to advise and consent on this nomination.
Oh, shit. You want Matt Gaetz, Mr. President? Prepare to be advice and consented, biatch? There is no way for the Constitution to allow you to get past it.
The Constitution does give the president power to adjourn the House and Senate on extraordinary occasions.
To unilaterally install his most controversial nominees and bypass the Senate confirmation process entirely.
That is our government in a nutshell. The rules say we can stop it. The loophole says, that. And so what are you left with? The last refuge of losers, the norms.
I don't think that's appropriate, and I don't think that's what the founders intended.
That is not the custom.
Yeah, you can do it, and it's legal, but whatever, guy. We're gonna think you're a dick. Republicans exploit the loopholes. Democrats complain about the norms over and over and over, and it has ghastly consequences. Remember when President Obama nominated Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court? Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell refused to give that a vote, saying, well, it's only one full year before the election, it's too close. Now, you can make a case that Obama could violate the norm, say the Senate failed their advice and consent, and appoint him anyway, and see whatever the happens. Fight. But they just went, well, we never heard of that rule, but, okay. Smash cut 2 months before a presidential election. Trump nominates Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court after the completely unforeseeable death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And as you can imagine, the Democrats went right to the nearby Kinkos.
Behind me is the McConnell rule. On February 13th, 2016, when Justice Scalia passed away, Senator McConnell said, and I quote, "This vacancy should not be filled until we have a new president."
And so Amy Coney Barrett was forced to head back to her homestead, never to be heard from a... Oh, they didn't give a... Oh! Oh, right, I forgot. They didn't give a... Look! Let this show be the utterly ineffective hypocrisy finders. I can tell you from experience, it does nothing. You guys be the loophole guys that figure out how to get shit done, because they don't give a about your norms. They will exploit any loophole, even if they have to go through clearly closed windows to do it. You would think after Trump's presidency, Democrats would have learned, but they doubled down. When Biden tried to get immigration reform into the Inflation Reduction Act and the Senate parliamentarian told him he couldn't, did he respond to the rule with a loophole, or did he?
That's for the parliamentarian to decide, though, not for Joe Biden to decide.
No! That's for, you take the parliamentarian and you put them in a locker and then you bring Grimace in and have him... That's what you do! Do you guys get what I'm saying? Perhaps a demonstration is in order. To get anything done, the Democrats feel like they must thread the needle to make sure, oh, we have to make sure each norm follows the overly complex bureaucratic process that we created ourselves. Oh, the parliamentarian, oh, I can't do it because the norm said, oh, I can't get anything done. Meanwhile, the Republicans come in and all they have to do is finger bang a donut. That's all they have to do. Oh, how are we going to get...
Hey, welcome back, Petapixel viewers. It is Chris Nichols here. Look at this. Sony A1 version 2. Sony has finally updated their flagship camera. We're going to take a solid look at this. I know you're thinking like, oh, we're just going to shoot like the decay, the beautiful summer giving way to just death and cold and wasteland. No, we got some really fun stuff planned. Let's get to that.
Hey, it's Mustache Jordan in New York City for reasons that are going to become apparent later in this episode, I swear. But you know what? If you're going to do a video that has fun shoots with like motocross and other stuff that we're doing in New York, you're going to need some really exciting, compelling music. And you're thinking like, oh man, I don't want to license any more songs. It's just a huge pain. But what if you could just do a one-time fee and have lifetime access to a great music library? Well, that's where this offer from our friends at Audio is really going to come in handy, because you can get a lifetime access to their entire music library with all kinds of different music. Usually it's $500, but with the coupon code you can find in the link in the description below, it's only $199. That is madness. That's a great deal, and I strongly recommend you take them up on it. So if you're looking for great licensed music, stop paying for each song. Just get lifetime access from Audio.
All right, big thanks, Mustache Jordan, for that excellent audio ad. So we got a lot planned for this particular A1 version 2 because this is a big deal. This is their flagship camera. So we got some motorsports we're going to shoot today. We're going to do some portraits there as well. We're also going to do some travel with this. And really, I want to cover how much has changed from the original A1. That's going to be my approach because as I mentioned, it's been a long time. Do we have new hardware? What is really improved, and has the role of the camera changed? First thing we'll talk about is handling. Okay, so when it comes to handling, is this a Sony A9 III? Well, yeah. No, but I mean, there's still stuff to talk about, right? I mean, this is a really nice handling body. I like the fact that versus the original A1, we've got a bigger, deeper grip. I like the more modern controls, the customizability of the camera, the autofocusing joystick. Everything feels really good. I mean, the A9 III is designed to be a flagship body, and this absolutely benefits from that design. The original A1 also did actually have Sony's more modern menu system. It got past the really horrible menus that everybody hated, but this has the latest iteration of the menu. I like that we have the home screen and stuff like that, so this is going to be Sony's best handling body so far. We also get all the connectivity that you expect out of a flagship camera. So we get the mic jack, the headphone jack, the Ethernet port, which is really interesting, PC sync port, full-size HDMI, we got a charging port. I mean, this is actually designed to really handle any sort of professional situation well. We also have the same Wi-Fi connectivity, but the A1, although a much older body, actually to its credit, had a lot of these exact same features. And the layout overall does feel very similar. I do like the fact that we now have the boost button option here for the custom button. That's something we're going to talk about that the A9 III debuted, but the original A1 handled really nicely. This just refines things a little bit further. And then here on the side of the camera, we have the exact same setup for media that we had on the A1. We've got dual CF Express Type A slots here. They've got really fast throughput and they clear the buffer insanely quick, but they can also double as SD card slots. So again, a really nice setup, everything rugged, weather sealed, same Z-type battery. I mean, other than refinements, it's effectively a similar experience. Okay, so far it doesn't sound like we have much difference, but where we do actually have substantial hardware improvement is when it comes to displays. So first off, the back panel. This is raising the resolution of the back panel to over 2 million dots from the original 1.44 million dots. More importantly, it's brighter, and also it has the excellent 4-axis articulation, which we really think is probably the best setup we've seen on a camera so far. The original A1 just had the vertical tilt, so this is going to be much more useful not only for photographers, but also for videographers. Now this has a beautiful EVF, the same 9.44 million dots of resolution. So one area where the Sony A1 original starts to show its age is in its lack of advanced capture modes. And this is where you can stack multiple images or pre-buffer images. So the original A1 can stack images to create a 200 megapixel file using Sony's Imaging Edge software. It was always a convoluted process. And of course, the new camera can do the exact same thing. But the new A1 goes above and beyond. It gives us a pre-buffered, pre-capture mode, really handy for sports and action. Also, it does have some extra features like noise reduction image stacking. This is something we saw in the A9 III, as well as the ability to do focus stacking. Now, this is still pre-production, so we can't really show you that, but we've seen this on cameras like the A9 III or other cameras like the Sony A7R5, and it does work really well, again, using Imaging Edge software. Okay, so another meaningful hardware change that we have on the new camera is a better IBIS unit. I mean, this is something we're seeing on a lot of the other advanced Sony bodies. So this has Sony's latest IBIS unit, where they're saying you get about 8.5 stops of stabilization in the center and more like 7 stops to the peripherals. Let's just average that out to like 7.5, 8 stops of IBIS. That's substantially more than the original 5.5 stops that we saw in the original A1. And that makes sense because so much time has gone by. This does make the camera very stable. It's very easy to shoot at slow shutter speeds. Okay, so interestingly enough, this second version of the Sony A1 has the exact same 50 megapixel sensor that we saw in the original Sony A1. That's not a bad thing because this is an amazing sensor. It was way ahead of its time. I mean, first off, we're getting competitive readout speeds to the Nikon Z8, Z9, faster than the R5 Mark II, and this is actually still giving us 5 more megapixels. I mean, that's pretty impressive. As well, this has the most advanced mechanical shutter we've ever seen in a camera. Now, that mechanical shutter can shoot about 10 frames per second, but more importantly, it has an insanely fast 400th of a second mechanical flash sync speed if you're shooting full frame. You can even go 1/500th of a second if you're okay with an APS-C crop. Now, the electronic shutter in this camera has a readout speed of 2/40th of a second. I mean, that's very fast. That gives us a maximum flash sync speed of 200th of a second. We often wondered on the original A1, why did they even put such an advanced mechanical shutter into a camera that doesn't really even need a mechanical shutter? But that flash sync speed, that might be one situation, that 400th of a second, where I might want to use the mechanical shutter. Otherwise, though, the electronic shutter here has minimum rolling shutter issues, very fast burst rates, and absolutely puts it into a very competitive place against a lot of the more modern flagship cameras today. Now, Sony's always been famous for having fantastic autofocus with their real-time tracking and their subject detections, and the original Sony A1 was a big part of that reputation, but things have come a long way, and happily, we now have a lot of those improvements. So first off, this has the AI processing chip that we've seen in more modern cameras like the A7R5 and the A9 III, and what this AI processing chip does is just more intelligently detect subjects, detect parts of their body, and then track those specifically. We also have much better autofocusing algorithms now from the modern cameras. So this opens up things that go beyond just human eye, face detect, and animal detect, but this now also has insect detect, which has worked really well, as well as the automobiles. So you got planes, and you got your motor vehicles and trains and that kind of stuff. So we're gonna see how that's gonna play out when we get to the track. Another interesting first here for the A1 II is that this is the first one to have an automatic setting for subject detection where the camera can decide what it thinks is best, very much like what Nikon does. So we have a fast reading sensor, and we have all the same autofocusing algorithms that we've seen in the A9 III. Theoretically, we should get very similar performance, although this isn't a global shutter camera, but I'm expecting very good things out of it. Let's go test it out at the track now. All right, so we're here at the Wild Rose Motocross track. We're joined by Spencer Wilton. Spencer, you're a full-time racer. You should definitely check out his stuff on Instagram and his YouTube channel as well. He's doing a lot of content out there, but we really appreciate you helping us out today. Now, of course, we're at a motocross track. There's lots of racers out here, so you're going to hear a lot of noise. Although Spencer's done us the courtesy of bringing us his electric bike, which is, well, at least very YouTube-friendly. So Spencer's coming off the jump and he's going into a dip, and then when he comes up for this shot, I can't see him until right at the crest of the jump. So it's a good test. The A1 II seems to be picking him up really quickly and locking on. Okay, so we got some portraits here with the flash shooting Spencer, and we're getting the same results we got on the original Sony A1. So we know that you can get 400th of a second as a maximum flash sync if you're using a TTL transmitter. We know that. What I wanted to test was to see if they've changed anything when it comes to a manual flash. And unfortunately, we are getting the exact same result, which means that if you're using a flash like this Westcott FJ400 in manual mode, you're only going to get about 250 of the second flash sync. That's not bad, but if you really want that 400, you got to go TTL. Okay, so let's talk about burst rates here on this camera. The electronic shutter does unlock some very fast burst rates,